to talk about the best aspects of transitioning. This includes psychological, social, and physical experience. I'll start with the most well-known surface changes, getting into more abstract and deeper aspects as we continue. And it doesn't get any more surface level than our physical changes, aka self-image.
You're breathtaking!
So let's start there. Sure, we could talk about what we see in the mirror, but experiencing the world in a body that you love is incredible as well. The first time I ran down a staircase and realized I needed a bra was painful, but oh god, was it euphoric. Looking down to see we have wider hips and a more hourglass shape just never gets old. And I'm sure for trans men, feeling your body have more muscle mass on it as well as hair in more masculine areas probably is pretty darn neat, even if inconvenient at some times. We see our physical appearance in a mirror, so usually that's what's spoken about first. But there's so many tiny nuances that this provides when we think less of the material reflection and more about the abstract experience it brings. And the fact that I can look into a mirror and feel elated from time to time is an absolute gem. I only wanted to speak on physical changes briefly because there is so much cooler psychological effects that this provides, and I'll talk about that now. As an analogy, when you see a cool sports car, you might think first about the look of the vehicle or the brand. However, I guarantee you don't think about what the car needs to function properly. That's the oil. The oil in a vehicle, or otherwise the hormones your brain is dominant with, needs to match the specification that your brain is designed for. That's exactly the reason why no matter how difficult the world makes it for us, trans women and trans men who experience dysphoria are happier after transition. At least when it comes to speaking about the overwhelming majority. The way the brain changes how it digests information upon a new hormonal balance is fascinating as well. I'm no neuroscientist, so I'm speaking only from experience here. Essentially, I've noticed the instinctive reflexes or thoughts of the brain slightly shift in one way or another depending on what information it's processing. The best way I can explain it is instinctively I look at things a bit more emotionally. That's not to say I get emotional about the situation, it's about looking at it from a different angle that I just genuinely wasn't expecting. There's also some silly instinctive glitches in my brain every now and then that I think a lot of people experience as well. I'll never forget the time I was dating a guy IRL and instinctively thought about the kids we might conceive together, even though of course I can't do that. Yeah, it's pretty cool but very difficult to explain, so if you experienced it then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't yet because you're not an HRT, then well, I hope that gives you something to look forward to. Social lives when transitioning can also have pretty positive changes as well, and this isn't necessarily locked behind taking HRT. And that's simply the ability to talk to people in a way that's authentic. Therefore, the relationships we do experience tend to be much more healthy and rewarding. Living our lives trying to match the social norms forced onto us naturally makes us live very inauthentic social lives. Like, I had some friends I became close to, I just found it incredibly difficult to relate to them on a lot of levels. Even something like going out to a club made me feel incredibly displaced and way out of my element, which inevitably brings me to the differences transition has given. I mean, this might be obvious, but the ability to just be myself is amazing. Going from feeling fake, therefore any relationship or friendship I made feeling fake, to having people see the real me is just insane. Of course, I'm talking from personal experience, but that same sentiment is shared throughout the community at a very broad scale. Even something as simple as small talk is way easier now. I'm no longer paranoid about every word I say and potentially saying the wrong thing. I just simply talk to people. For a lot of us to feel so happy about something that some people might see as extremely simple is kind of special in its own way, you know? Trans women getting to experience female camaraderie and trans men getting to see what it's like to talk with the boys and just shoot the S word, that's peak. And yes, I realize how I'm probably talking on stereotypes and that may be negative at glance, but when you look at it a bit closer, it's a level of inclusion that many of us feel natural in. It's a home many of us have longed for our entire lives, but have only ever been able to see from afar. Until, of course, we took that first terrifying step. Getting into some pretty heavy territory from here on out, I'm going to be talking about renewed hope. Hope might mean something different between you and I, so let me talk personally once again. As a kid, I used to watch shows like Pippi Longstocking and Sailor Moon. I had naturally gravitated towards feminine traits, like wanting a baby doll with the milk bottle so I could play mom, or trying on my mom's heels. Whatever a boy was, whatever a girl was, didn't matter to me. I knew I was a girl and was excited to grow up and be just like Sailor Moon, but then reality hit. I was told hot pink can't be my favorite color, it's a girl's color. I was told Sailor Moon was feminine, I should watch boy shows. I was told a baby doll wasn't what I could have, instead I got a plastic tool set that I never used. I was ultimately told the future I wanted wasn't mine to have, and that there was nothing I could do about it. I had to live a life I would never truly enjoy or feel comfortable in. Any role model on television became painful to look at. Most of my formative memories in my younger years are moments where the person I was stripped away. Things got pretty dark. The inevitable future I couldn't escape was something that crushed my very soul. I thought it was going to be a nightmare, and it was, for many years. The inability to form connections, the disdain I had for my own body, and severe gender dysphoria led me to a very, very dark place. HRT, very literally, saved my life. When I started taking HRT, and better yet, when I just started to embrace myself truly, life was no longer a prison. I got to look at my role models again and not feel a deep sense of dread. I looked at being a parent and realized I could be the mom I wanted to be. Maybe not 100%, but close enough. And you're darn right, I looked at the color hot pink and said to myself, that is the best goddamn color I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just look at it. Hot pink hits different, okay? I won't pretend some aspects of my life didn't get much more difficult, namely talking about, you know, horrible people politicizing our existence for their own benefit. I've been way happier despite the difficulties presented in the world around us, because inside, I no longer feel a deep turmoil and pain. There's probably a lot more I could talk about on here, but the last thing I want to mention is my view on the structure of the world. Yeah, I genuinely think it's a gift to realize that inequality is a very real thing, because I was painfully unaware of it until now. Sure, that means I have to experience inequality, but that also means I'm not an insufferable douchebag. Yeah, one of the best things about transitioning is making sure that I never become a Republican. We went political somehow. I don't know how we got here, but we got here. In summary, the best thing about transitioning is it gave me my life back,
as well as a crippling pickle addiction.
Thank you so much for watching this very different video of mine, and thanks to all my YouTube members as well as Patreon members that help me make my content literally not possible without you. And to you still watching, thanks for watching. Seriously. Like and subscribe if you want to, you know, support my channel. It does help the algorithm stuff a lot, and yeah, alright. Until next time. Bye.